With the close of the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy and the disappointing box office numbers that came with it, many are wondering how Disney will handle Star Wars moving forward, and they are curious to see what moves Disney executives will make to try to right the ship and bring back the buzz and excitement that once surrounded this franchise. In a recent article on Collider regarding the future of Disney Star Wars, writer Matt Goldberg brings out that The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian indicate that the future of Star Wars will be safe, full of fan service, and, as he puts it, deeply uninteresting. He continues, "For a franchise that started out as a big risk for creator George Lucas, Disney has now decided that you don't need strong storytelling or bold creative decisions. What you need to do is appease the faithful, no matter how toxic their behavior, and the casual fans won't care enough to argue." He goes on to point to The Mandalorian and the success of the introduction of Baby Yoda as Disney's ideal version of what Star Wars should be going forward. He says that this is where Disney wants us as fans, eager to shell out money, not for something that challenges us, but for something that comforts us. He also brings out that without risk and creative leaps, Star Wars will lack vigor and vitality, that it will eat its own tail and serve only people who have read every expanded universe novel and bought every comic. While I agree with his prediction of how Disney will handle its future projects, I think that they will in fact try to stay in bounds with their content and move towards content that centers on the more familiar elements of Star Wars. Where I strongly disagree with this article is with the conclusion that this fan service-filled approach is necessarily a bad thing. I'll be honest and upfront, I've certainly read most of the expanded universe novels, and though I haven't bought every comic, I'm certainly more passionate about Star Wars than most people that I know in my personal life. And I fully dismiss the idea that my entertainment needs to be challenging in order to be good. The world I have to live in daily is challenging enough, and just like so many other fans of fantasy universes like it, Star Wars is a way to find a brief escape for the challenges we have to face every day. I also reject the idea that you can't have good storytelling without taking big risks. So often in the original trilogies, it was the quieter moments that resonated deeply with me. Yoda's training of Luke on Dagobah, Luke's conversations with Leia and Vader in Return of the Jedi. Even in the prequels, Obi-Wan's conversations with Anakin. Those are the moments that keep me coming back to this franchise. Not the cutting-edge special effects or the use of incredible force powers. These are also my favorite parts of The Mandalorian and the sequel trilogy. It's the relationships that are built, and how those relationships affect the story. I think we had an excellent example in The Last Jedi of what happens when the creative directors and writers try to challenge the fans. And it's a big reason why I was disappointed so greatly with the sequel trilogy. They certainly made bold and risky choices in episodes 7 and 8. Like taking the established relationships that Luke had with Leia and Han and essentially throwing them away and turning all those characters into failures. By the time Luke showed up on Crate to save the Resistance in what was an impressive visual display, I felt nothing, and was already burned out and shocked by the disrespect shown toward these characters, and the stories that had been developed and established for so many decades. So yes, I sincerely hope Disney course corrects and begins to pander to the die-hard fans. These are the fans that are at the nucleus of the support base. They are the most passionate about Star Wars, and they are the ones who truly make this franchise capable of being so successful financially. And because they are so passionate, they aren't willing to just walk away from the characters and the stories that they've loved for so many years. They'll instead fight for it. They'll make sure their voice is heard one way or another, and that Disney gets the message that Star Wars will fail if they do not respect what came before. In examining the success of The Mandalorian and how much money that has brought Disney through their streaming service by quickly amassing over 10 million subscribers, it's easy to see why it's a smart move to make the die-hard Star Wars fans happy. Many fans were hoping for Disney Star Wars to decline after the disappointment of The Last Jedi. They knew that the only way to send a clear message would be to hit them where it hurts, at the box office. After the disastrous results of the Solo movie, Disney started making excuses. Bob Iger chalked it up to Star Wars fatigue, which is nonsense. But after The Rise of Skywalker also underperformed, it seems that Disney has finally gotten the message that a growing coalition of Star Wars fans were not happy with the reckless choices being made with these movies. And after Bob Iger's recent comments about taking a hiatus with Star Wars movies after Episode 9, this is an encouraging sign for many disappointed fans, as we hope that Disney will rethink their approach and try to craft good stories that deserve to be told, while maintaining a spirit similar to what we found in the original trilogies and the Star Wars EU. I'd like to end this video by commenting on what I thought was the most important part of Matt Goldberg's Collider article. At the very beginning of the article, he says, "When we look back on this chapter of the Star Wars franchise, the movie that will stand as the turning point is The Last Jedi. Regardless of what you think about the merits of that movie, we can at least agree that the film itself was divisive. Specifically, it was divisive because it dared question the world of Star Wars. For some in fandom, the mere act of questioning is an act of disrespect. To show true adoration, you must echo what came before and demonstrate a deep knowledge of lore. You don't question that lore, you just show that you know it. Appreciation isn't shown in subversion or engagement, but by repeating the arcana like it's holy scripture." I recognize that he is trying to paint the fandom's expectations as unreasonable and problematic. But honestly, these expectations don't seem unreasonable to me at all. I think that anyone who is willing to take on a new Star Wars project should absolutely demonstrate a very deep knowledge and appreciation of the lore. And when introducing new characters or concepts, I feel it is entirely reasonable to respect and revere what so many fans have grown to love. And it's important to us that these creators do not recklessly introduce things into the universe that create plot holes or ruin beloved characters. I, for one, don't want to see Star Wars questioned. No one is questioning how great the original trilogy was, but to question the resolve and greatness of the legacy characters is absolutely disrespectful. Ultimately, time will tell what Disney will choose to do. Moving forward, not every new show or movie will be a hit with the fandom. I'm sure they will still make mistakes. But The Mandalorian and the attempts to retcon certain elements of The Last Jedi with The Rise of Skywalker at least show me that Disney is trying to listen to some of the disgruntled fans. And as long as they keep trying to listen, I'm willing to give them a chance. If not, my passion for Star Wars won't fade, but my faith and hope in Disney certainly might. I hope you enjoyed this video. While you're here, leave a like and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications for more nerdy content. Thanks so much for listening to my rant, and as always, have a very nerdy day.